What up? Episode 90, business news, other shit. We doing it, y'all. We had Diarmuid Horan on today. This dude is an Irish gangster. I mean, not literally, but we love the Irish, hey? He's a hurler. This dude's a professional hurler. It's a sport in Ireland. It's a cross between field hockey and lacrosse. That's right. Good dude. And now he's a diet and lifestyle professional. So the guy knows his stuff. One of the calmest dudes the calmest guy we've ever had on the episode. Also has amazing eye contact. Yo, I know, I was geeking out on that. So this dude, before he did diet and lifestyle, he still currently owns a coffee roaster called Sputnik Coffee. So the owner of Sputnik Coffee in Chicago was with us, Diarmuid. And so he goes into the kind of entrepreneurial story of how they literally went to Ohio, bought a roaster, brought it over, and told us that story. It's pretty cool. But then he kind of basically, through his life at the coffee shop, at the coffee roaster, was starting to burn out. And so he went back to the diet and lifestyle world. And his whole thing now is mentoring other people. He gets hired to basically coach people on not burning out, being able to manage stress and being able to take on more and more pressure in life and thrive at it so that you can actually still do jokes and chill and hang out and have fun while you're taking on life. Imagine, the most difficult time in your life, but you're still smiling. This dude's a coach at that. It's amazing. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Diarmuid. Peace. I'm taking my first bite of my banana, walnut, Greek yogurt, oat, honey muffin.
That's right.
Yep.
Courtesy Diarmuid. What's your last name?
Horan. Hitch. Horan over here. Horan over here.
One of my friends growing up his last name was Moran.
Right.
Which is very Irish, right?
Yeah, well, it is, but that would also be pronounced in Ireland, Moran instead of Horan. And one of my favorites is down the road from where I live, Mahoney's.
Yeah.
Mahoney's Bar and Grill, which is Mahoney's.
What? Mahoney's?
Pronounced in Ireland, Mahoney's, yeah. And it would be an Irish name.
That sounds Arabic.
Mahoney?
Mahoney.
Really?
Yeah.
Mahoney.
Because
so.
the H in English is ha.
Mm-hmm.
And this is more Mahoney, like ha. Do you see the difference?
I hear the difference. I don't see it, but I definitely hear the difference.
Guy's good.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think a lot of people, when you hear the Irish accent, the English accent, the one thing that I think comes true in the Irish accent is some of our Gaelic pronunciations. So we hit a lot of as, like ah. So people tell me I pronounce Chicago like someone from Chicago because I hit an ah. Like when I say car, I say car. I don't say car.
Right. I say car. You say car.
I say car, and that comes from learning Irish as a kid. The language
Gaelic.
of Irish, Gaelic, Gaelga. Yeah, you say
so wait, you speak Gaelic and English in Ireland?
No, we don't. So we do and we don't. It's kind of a trick question. And we like to keep it tricky. So Gaelic is our national language. It is recognized by the European Union. If you go to Ireland, you'll see all our signposts. As soon as you enter the airport, will be in English and in Gaelic, or in the language as we call it, as Gaelga. It's spoken mostly in the rural coastal areas of the country. But by and large, in 95% of the country, English is the number one language. And we only know, like we as in me, someone who's from the Midlands, not from the coastal areas, only know Gaelic from learning it in school. And you don't really remember it because you never practice it. So if I were to go home and speak with a native speaker, I'd pretty much struggle.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of with me in Arabic. I know Arabic. If I go to the Middle East, I'm going to get by in a taxi and wherever.
Mm-hmm.
But put me in like a real conversation in Arabic, like there's something on the line, and I'm not the guy that should be talking Arabic. It's very dangerous.
Yeah. It's a funny thing too, if you go, because it's there in the brain somewhere because you learned it until you're 18.
Totally. And my mom, by the way, not a native English speaker, native Arabic speaker. That's all she spoke to me as a kid. But once I went to kindergarten at 4 or 5 years old, I stopped using Arabic.
Right.
But it's all there.
It's all there.
Bizarre, isn't it?
Once you get immersed in it, it starts coming back out again.
What did you just say?
Once you get immersed into it, it starts coming back out again.
Yes. I heard mercenary for some reason.
Oh, no.
So thank you for these muffins. You are the only guest that's ever brought us food.
Very
Ever.
good.
John, what a guy, right?
Yeah, this is a new thing.
This is a new thing. If we only had more guests like Diarmuid. And you know why he did it? because he's a lifestyle guy, right? Do you see his cool floppy hair and his fresh haircut, but his thick hipster beard? Dude, you've got the lifestyle down. We have something to learn from you, Diarmuid.
Oh, really?
Hell yeah, man. Because I think like a lot of the people who go into business, go into entrepreneurship, or like think about business or work in a business, all feel lots of stress and struggle with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people, by and large, think about lifestyle. I think they think about how am I going to get by today or next week, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the majority of what people think about is that. And you are like, no, let's take a step back and look at people's lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so like I kind of introduced you yesterday, I do come from a health, wellness, I guess, diet, exercise, educational background, experience background, but I am my own business owner too. And what you just described, I definitely have experienced. I've experienced how do you make it through today? You know, how do you work 12 hours, 13 hours, go home, get back up again in the morning and repeat that without going insane and wanting to say, you know, F this, I'm out.
I think we got the right guy on the podcast. What do you think, John?
Definitely.
No, for real. So you're saying that you do believe a lot of people wrestle with that day-to-day grind.
I mean, more than you can imagine. I've done it. I've done it myself. I worked in a company doing, I guess, lifestyle coaching, a technology-based company. Interesting company. We helped modify people's lifestyle behaviors all through text messaging. Nothing else but text messaging.
No way.
Yeah. And
Okay, before you get into the text messaging thing, I gotta just comment. I'd like to comment on your energy, Diarmuid. I like saying your name.
Yeah.
Dude, you are one of the calmest people I've ever met. Your eye contact is killer.
Uh-huh.
I feel safe looking at you. Like you have a nice soft gaze.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to come on to you.
That's all right.
Okay. And
It's happened before.
That's why we're in a back of a stock room.
If you saw this place, you might think
for
come on was
listeners,
an
we're at
understatement.
Cedars, the restaurant I own, and we're in the back stock room of Cedars. I'm looking at cans of garbanzo beans, bottles of ketchup, and what is that? Hot sauce and rigatoni. Why we have rigatoni at a Middle Eastern restaurant? Don't ask me. It's from the Italian restaurant before here, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, man, you've got a serious energy. You got a cool energy. Yeah, I don't see you fidgety either. So clearly you're nailing the lifestyle thing. Do you meditate?
Yeah, I do every day.
How long do you meditate?
Ooh, up and down. So I mean, to me, it's about getting consistent. So doing it, daily or as more often than not. That's kind of one of the phrases I stick in my head is trying to do something more often than not. If you want to build a lifestyle out of it. But how long do I meditate? A minimum 20 minutes. The past couple of days, it's been up to an hour, but never in one sitting. I find it hard to sit down for an hour. It gets tough. So 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then do another one in the evening. But that's taken a while. I mean, I've tried. So I've been told meditating is good. People hear you should meditate. And it's really something you don't appreciate until you start experiencing it. So you do it and you begin to see some value in it day to day. But for the longest time, I'd do Headspace from my phone. Start it for a couple of days, stop, almost like your routine, your dieter, to someone who jumps on a diet, does really well, gets off it for whatever reason, and then builds up the motivation and goes, oh crap, I should be doing this again. So I've done that in meditation. And over the past 2.5, 3 years, I've been getting more and more consistent where now it's, at least 6 out of 7 days a week.
I got to a place with meditation because I used to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
I got to a place with meditation where I actually convinced myself, and I think this is false. I think I falsely convinced myself that it's not benefiting me and I don't need to meditate. And I will say this. The pressure I feel today compared to that a year ago is a lot more. Between comedy stuff I'm doing, improv, this podcast, and owning a restaurant, life got a lot more busy
Mm-hmm.
and intense and pressure and hot under the collar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now thinking like, maybe I was meditating too much for what was going on with my life. Do you think that's possible?
I mean, if you're using meditation as a way to avoid some things that are pretty important and you're responsible for, then it might be hindering other things. But I don't think you can overdose in meditation. There's been no research out there that I know of that, someone's OD'd on focusing on their breathing.
Give me another hit of that meditation.
But yeah, I think some science out there shows that you can get an adequate dose of meditation. It's not talking like it's a drug in 20 minutes, and then optimal up to an hour. So going beyond that for the average person might be a little unnecessary, really. I mean, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket either. You don't want to think meditation is going to be the miracle drug that solves your life.
I think I was partly doing that. I had high expectations after some years of meditating, and I was like, this is not working. I'm supposed to get more out of it. I think that was my mistake.
What were you trying to do for?
I think I was expecting meditation to give me answers while I meditate or post meditation to like my life, things I'm wrestling with in my life. And I don't think that's what meditation is for. I think my communing with God can help me more in that. And meditation and prayer are different things.
They definitely are. They're very different things. Both are shown to be pretty helpful when it comes to stress and management of stress. I know my family are my parents particularly are very religious in the Catholic religion.
Almost everyone in Ireland is Catholic, right?
Yeah, a majority. Yeah, an overwhelming majority. About 80% of the island are Catholic, I think.
Okay.
And the rest are mostly Protestant, with other religions too, but all pretty much Christian.
Right.
So my parents be very, very religious, and they rely on prayer a lot, and it's very helpful for them. And they do feel like it gives them guidance. But meditation, I mean, there are a million different types of meditation and meditation practices. The one that I focus on is mindfulness meditation, which does come from Buddhism. And it's also the most studied one. So I'm definitely does this have any proof to it? Because, I'm from Ireland, played a lot of sport growing up, I'm the stereotypical, meat and potatoes type of guy where if something seems a little wishy-washy or for the birds, then I'm not going to do it because I'm going to look like, the odd one out.
Yeah.
So, I started meditating.
And meditation and yoga are the two, that's for the weirdos.
It was for the weirdos. Some people might have said back in the day, I was a bit of a weirdo for our bunch. Not a weirdo, but always a touch different, stood out from the crowd. So I was willing to give things a go, which is maybe why I'm in this room right now.
Stock room in the back of a restaurant.
Yeah.
You say yes. You said you played sport growing up. So when I looked you up, it said you were a hurler. And I told John, we have an Irish hurler coming in today. Aren't you excited? He's like, so he throws up? That's what he does? And I'm like, oh shit.
That's what we do post game. Yeah.
I'm like, that's right. Probably no, very few Americans have probably. Do you ever meet people who say, oh, I know hurling?
No, very rarely. Super rare. Yeah, I mean, you've got a decent Irish American community here in Chicago. I mean, not a decent, you got a very big one.
Huge.
Yeah.
I grew up in an area not far from, it's called Mount Greenwood.
Oh, I know Mount Greenwood.
You know it, right? Yeah, so Southside Irish. And so a lot of my friends growing up were Irish. In fact, a big chunk of my friends were Irish.
Yeah. Mount Greenwood, I mean, the South Side it blows your mind. And even today, a lot of actual Irish people have settled in Mount Greenwood.
Yes.
Or
you mean
Park.
people, immigrants, Irish immigrants? They'll go to Mount Greenwood?
Yeah, I think so. In that general area, maybe they've moved a little bit further west into Oak Lawn.
That's where I grew up, Oak Lawn.
Hickory Hills seems to be.
You know that area?
Well, that's where I first moved when I came out.
No shit. Okay.
So actually, hurling is part of the reason why I'm out here. We do have teams in the city.
In Chicago. Hurling happens in Chicago.
Hurling happens all over the United States. And Chicago, up until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, had a decent hub where we had 3 teams, and previously there were 4 teams. So it's all organized by Irish immigrants who've come over. They want to keep the sport going, and basically in the summer they create a league, and the people who live here join the league, and then to make enough numbers for a full team to be able to, field the team on the pitch, we invite college students over. So you see a big influx of Irish college students in the summer in Chicago, and a number of them will come out to play sport. To play hurling or Gaelic football as a second sport.
Gaelic football, different sport, second sport.
Yeah.
But hurling, you were a hurler in Ireland, and you played some here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what you were telling me earlier is it's like a cross between field hockey and what?
Lacrosse.
Mm-hmm. So I'm picturing lacrosse. They're holding the sticks up,
Mm-hmm.
and they got the ball in there, and they're trying to get it into a goal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whipping the stick, using their wrists, all that stuff. And field hockey is just the stick, but down on the ground, trying to get it in a goal.
Yep.
So, what is hurling when I think about those two things?
So, yes, not the perfect comparison, but basically, you have a stick. In hurling, we have a stick that's more similar to the field hockey stick. So it's like a long stick, and at the very bottom of it is kind of a wider paddle. And that's the area you strike the ball.
Okay.
So you.
And it's a ball. It's not a puck. It's a ball.
No,
right?
it's a ball. It's a ball similar size to a baseball, not as hard as a baseball, because we catch it. So
with your bare hands.
With your bare hands. So we strike the ball on the ground just like field hockey. But then when the ball comes into the air, you get to take it down with your hand or with the stick. So you control it on the stick, which is how it almost resembles lacrosse.
Wait a minute. Is the stick built or structured, designed in a way where it can cup the ball?
No.
It just has to balance on there?
Yes, that's part of it. But when the ball comes at you, you basically have to manage the momentum of the ball so that you kill it on the spot. So it hits the paddle, stops, and then you catch it. And then when you want to move forward with the ball, you must balance it on the stick while you're running.
That's kind of cool.
So you're kind of moving like when lacrosse, when they're, whatever they do, they wiggle the net. We balance it on our stick.
I got it. All right, cool.
Because you can't run with the ball in your hand.
You cannot. Yeah.
You can take 3 steps and then it must be on the stick.
Got it.
Or released.
All right. Okay, so now I'm getting hurling. I get it. Now, is there fighting? Is there tackling? Is any of that permissible like rugby or football? Or hockey?
It's contact. It's not like hockey where if 2 people drop their sticks and go, glove to glove. That's not allowed anymore.
So it was allowed for some time?
Well, back when my dad played it, my dad actually did a lot better job at it than I did. It was basically barbaric according to them back then. There were no rules. Referees, when they tried to implement rules, things went a little crazy, but it was very violent. And people didn't wear helmets, so you basically had your football boots, your cleats, and your stick, and that was it. Fights would break out. People
Sounds
get
gritty.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. He says it's changed for the better. And he was apparently one of the rougher guys on the team, but that was just how the game was back then. Either you got stuck in, or someone got stuck into you.
When I hear that story, it makes me think like, frick, man, we've gotten kind of soft. And I know it sounds a little too brute for me to say that, but I do believe that. Like, we need an environment where we kind of get rough and tumble. Like, I literally thought once to myself, I want to start a fight club.
Mm-hmm.
And
after watching Fight Club.
After watching Fight Club.
Of course.
And part of the truth is this. I used to go to a men's group therapy at a dear friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd kind of like process a lot of our shit. Anger that we didn't want to show out in the real world, in the public, we'd bring it into this room. And sometimes it gets so intense, we'd all be like, yo, let's go down to the garage and punch Rob's bag. He'd have a punching bag. And we'd all just stand around the bag, like kind of like Fight Club, and watch one dude go at it and, just scream his head off like, that bastard didn't pay me my $10,000 back. I want to rip his neck off. And just punching the bag or hitting it with a stick or something. And I was like, yo, we need to start a Fight Club. That's what we need. Because we need, we men need to get there. We got so much energy pent up and anger, I feel like, at some level, if we don't get it out, it's dangerous, no? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering now when you're saying that, was Dana White at this group meeting?
Who's Dana White?
The lead guy for UFC?
Oh,
because he took that idea and he ran with it. I think, I mean...
Wait, when you say he took that idea and ran with it, what do you mean?
Well, like you got UFC now is,
Oh, that's how UFC was kind of born?
I'm not sure about the details, but definitely he's turning that into a real business. I mean, it's killing boxing, which when I growing up, boxing was the number one fighting sport.
That's exactly right. Plus, people like Joe Rogan, who've become big on UFC, have made UFC so big.
Yeah, absolutely. But people do need to, I mean...
Do you have an outlet yourself right now, would you say?
Do I? I hate to say it, but it's those, it's not as, appealing to the masculinity side of me, but it comes into, simple things like exercise, meditation. It sounds...
The exercise for me, I try and like hit the weights and do some push-ups and let it out,
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't step into a ring. I mean, I step onto a field, and when it gets aggressive on the field, you get aggressive back, and you do start a fight. You might sometimes, oddly, well, it depends on who you are and what team you're playing, but fists might start swinging. Full-out brawls don't break out like they used to.
People will more break up the fight, right?
People break up the fight, yeah. You get punished very harshly for it nowadays, so it's really not in the interest of the team to do that. So I wouldn't step into a boxing ring. I don't have the skill for it, first off, so I'd get battered. I wouldn't step into a UFC ring for sure. But I think keeping anger or anything like that kind of beats you down inside and just holding it there. I mean, that's not good for anything. I mean, I believe for business, for relationships in general.
Relationships, yep. I believe it becomes self-inflicted if you don't let it out. Meaning, like, we just start beating up on ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you have that energy inside you and all of a sudden your minds get chattering, I mean, your mind doesn't start whispering you sweet nothings.
No, it starts telling you, like, go do some crazy shit.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or it starts telling you all the things that you're not.
Yep.
So you
get negative.
Super negative. Super negative. So it's important to have something. I mean, if it's a fight club and it helps you release a bit of steam, great. Then my question after that is, then what? Do you go down that cycle and repeat it where that person that still owes you $10,000 and you've done nothing to address the issue?
Right.
And you go back down to the punching bag and you're like, that motherfucker. And you start beating this bag again.
Yeah, where are you really moving towards? Right. The hope, I think, and what I experienced myself is when I would attack the bag, I would have an emotional shift of some sort. Like I'd really release. And suddenly, because I had an emotional shift, let's call it an emotional experience, emotional shift, suddenly, I had a different perspective. Wait a minute. I need to do X. I need to do this. I need to pursue this through legal means or whatever,
Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense, right? So you offload that blockage, so to speak. I mean, the negativity can be blocking you. You're so caught up and, fused with this anger or this idea, and then you begin to release the steam a little bit. And you have a little sense of space to, I don't know, shift your perspective, I guess.
Yeah. So, okay. So you grew up a hurler and you played it into your, I presume, 20s.
Yep, 25.
And then you moved to Chicago. And then you continue playing it here, but then you move into other worlds like coffee roasting and now lifestyle business.
Yeah. So, well, I guess I'll just touch on the transition from Ireland to Chicago.
Yeah,
to
you're
the United
an
States.
immigrant.
I'm a fake immigrant.
Why?
I was born in San Francisco.
What? So you're American?
I'm an American. I have,
Oh,
I have a blue
shit.
passport.
No shit. Are you
Um,
also an Irish citizen?
I am. I
So
also have a
dual.
red passport.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, my parents lived in San Francisco during the 80s for 3 years. I'm the unplanned final of 4 children. And the lucky one, when they struck perfection, they stopped. So so basically then they moved back to Ireland. My dad was a teacher. He was on a career break, and basically he was told, finish your career or move back and resume your position. So they went back to Ireland, and then I grew up in Ireland. So from the age of 2 onwards, I grew up in Ireland.
Yeah.
No recollection of San
course.
Francisco whatsoever.
Of course.
But yeah, then my transition over here to Chicago was basically a friend of mine. His name's Tiernan. He lives here in Chicago still. Just suggested to me one day, hey, Diarmuid, why don't you... I'm thinking of going to Chicago. I've been to Chicago before, loved it. Best summers ever. Why don't you move to Chicago with me? We reached out to a hurling club. So the hurling club was like, we'll help you out. We'll give you accommodation, or at least set you up with accommodation. We'll help you with flights. We can't offer you any more than that. But you got to play with us when the summer comes.
In Ireland?
No, here in Chicago.
Oh, your hurling club. Is that the right way to say it?
Mm-hmm.
Your hurling club in Ireland basically has an outpost here, has a team here.
No, sorry for the confusion. So there's a team here in Chicago, and we basically, me and my friend, reached out to them,
Gotcha.
said, hey, we're considering coming. We know you guys need players who live in Chicago. There's a rule that you need to have X number of players living in Chicago in order for you to have a legal team. So we're kind of important for them to come out and be here before the summer kids come out. And they said, yeah, we'll help you, get your roots down. And I moved here. So I stood it out. Then I got into coffee roasting. Well, I started working, met a friend. 2 of us were big fans of coffee, and we saw what we thought was an opportunity, and we still believe is an opportunity. It's turning out to be one. Whether we can execute it, continuing executing it or not, is the question.
Mm-hmm.
But we decided we wanted to roast coffee. Not only roast coffee, but roast a really top quality coffee, but offered at a price that seemed reasonable.
What's the name of the coffee company?
Sputnik.
Sputnik,
like the Russian satellite.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sputnik Coffee.
And it's on the south side of Chicago.
Yes, back of the yards.
The Roasterie.
The Roasterie. It's on 51st and Hoyne.
And do you believe you guys compete taste wise with the big names like Intelligentsia, Sparrow, Ipsento?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones I'm thinking of off the top of my head.
Dark Matter, Metric.
There you go.
Passion House.
Yes.
Do we?
The former Botras.
Yeah. We definitely do compete with them.
You do feel
yeah,
that?
Absolutely. 100%.
Are you a big coffee drinker? Do you know coffee really well?
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say I'm a big coffee drinker. Absolutely. Do I know coffee well? Not compared to some people.
Sure.
Do I love coffee, and I can tell you what I think is a good cup, and I know how coffee is roasted. I know the different parameters you have to pay attention to when you're trying to achieve a certain type of coffee. But I'm not like somebody like a beer drinker or a wine drinker who can pick out this, that, and the other out of the tasting of the coffee.
You're not like a sommelier of coffee. Right?
No way. Absolutely
a master
not.
roaster?
No. We have someone who's much better at that and much more consistent at that than I am.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But on quality, 100%. Our beans are the same grade as all those other roasters we mentioned in the city. So top quality coffee beans. And we roast them. Now, our differentiator, I guess, is that we only roast one blend. So a lot of coffee roasters here in the city, they'll have
Colombian.
This,
that, Indonesian.
Costa Rican.
I get so confused by all that.
Yeah.
I'm not a coffee drinker to be technically, so I don't appreciate it. But I feel like the average person is like confused by all that.
Right. And what's exactly who we're trying to market towards. We want to offer a product to the average person, to someone who just wants a really good cup of coffee in the morning, maybe another one in the day, but is not trying to, learn something new out of a different varietal from a different country or region or whatever. But that's what everyone else seems to be doing. And there is a market for that. I mean, there's a huge market for that. And I like it myself from time to time. But it's not what we're trying to do. We see that the typical coffee consumer in the morning, I mean, they drink it every single day. And it can become expensive. So we wanted to offer, a very good coffee for the average person that's at a reasonable price. It's not the cheapest coffee in the world. But it's probably a coffee that most people could afford to buy and drink day in, day out, week over week. So I do think I think that opportunity is still there, and hopefully we'll see it continue.
John, is it me, or does this brother have some seriously calming energy?
Oh yeah, I feel like I'm gonna fall asleep right now in like a good way.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like, do you know have you guys watched Get Out, the movie?
No?
Have you watched it, John?
No.
It's that movie written by the guy from Key and Peele, Keegan Michael Key and Jordan Peele. So Jordan Peele wrote this movie called Get Out. It's a horror flick about a black dude dating a white girl, and they go
It's
to the
already
country,
terrifying.
right? For the black dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they go to the countryside to visit her parents, and it turns out, I don't want to give the movie away, but it becomes like a complete shit show. And there's this moment where the mom's a psychiatrist, I think, and the mom is sitting with, I believe his name is Chris, if I'm not mistaken, the black dude.
Yeah.
And she just like is putting her spoon in her teacup and, jingling, and looking him in the eye. And he's just kind of like, and he kind of like gets mesmerized and basically hypnotized. And I'm experiencing that with you.
That's amazing.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Are you experiencing that, or am I going way too far with this, John?
I'm giving you all the eye contact, though.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting it out of the periphery.
That's true. Though I will say, if you try and do that kind of eye contact with me, with John, you might lose that battle.
Oh.
Mine's a different kind of eye contact.
A different type of eye contact. That needs elaboration.
Like yours is really soft. I have a really intense stare. So
you don't let go, do you?
No.
You're gripping onto that.
Yeah.
Like hanging off a cliff.
I will say it has softened a little bit, John.
A little bit?
Yeah, in the last 6 months.
What have you been doing to loosen it up?
I've just been awake since 2 a.m.
So the soft eye contact is your eyes wanting to close.
Yeah. It's just seeing the light of day.
Well, so what I wanted to ask you was, what is your role? So you're basically a small business guy. You're an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Do you own part of it? Do you own all of it? Do you participate in the roasting or the business itself, or are you kind of arm's length and you're a passive investor?
Yeah. So I've transitioned through a lot of those different, I guess, stages. Started off as an equal investor. Now, here's how it all began, because it's kind of chaotic or silly or, naive. Basically, when we had the idea we're going to roast coffee, we went on to Craigslist and started looking for a coffee roaster. And we found one way over in Columbus, Ohio. A small little 5 kilogram roaster built by US Roaster Corp, for anyone who cares.
These things cost, I remember I looked these up before. I put a bid on Botras when they were going through the bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
I did not win. But I tried to buy the company. And ultimately, the owner, Phil Tadros, did not sell to anyone. And unfortunately, it became a shell of its former self. I think it's failed now. In researching, I had to figure out how much the value of the roasters were. And some were like 50 to 100 grand. A 5 kilogram is going to be a little bit cheaper, right?
Oh, much cheaper. Yeah, and ours was secondhand. So, like I said, we're trying to offer a affordable product. So we can't afford to start investing in, 50 to 100 grand roasters without any customer out there already buying our coffee. So we decided to get a 5 kilo, tiny little roaster, US Roaster Corps, drove to Columbus, Ohio one morning, got up at 5 a.m. in the morning, drove out there, stopped in a Starbucks because we were getting tired. And when we got there to pick up this roaster, the owner had gone on vacation to Florida and he had left 2 employees, 2 females, to come help us with this roaster and to lift it into our van. Now, we foolishly never measured the height of our van. We just assumed that, this is a big van, this will work. So when you lift a roaster up with your hands and your legs.
Which I presume is super heavy?
Yeah, I think it was 1,800 pounds.
Nah, a 5 kilogram roaster?
Yeah,
1,800
it's
pounds?
pure stainless steel.
That's a ton.
Yeah, that's a lot.
No, okay, well then I'm way off. But it was super heavy.
Okay, maybe 700-800 pounds.
Hold on a second. Let me do my maths here.
Are you doing like kilograms to pounds?
Maybe 800 pounds. Even that sounds high. Anyway, it was a struggle for 2 people. I won't bore you down the details. Someone's going to correct me here.
So 2 dudes.
Yeah,
2 dudes, 2 ladies.
Yeah, that's a lot. So all 4 of you guys?
Is a lot for 2 people.
Yeah, 800 for 2 people, yeah.
Mhm.
That I think is almost impossible.
Yeah.
You'd break your back.
You
Did all
know.
4 of you do it?
3 of us did it.
The other girl was just like,
Just watch.
After you guys.
Supervising.
Cheerleaded. And eventually, when we realized it didn't fit, the second girl dropped out. And this is on a Sunday. So we had to basically figure out how the hell are we going to get this roaster back to Chicago because we got work on Monday morning and we
your
popped into
regular
U-Haul.
jobs.
Our regular jobs, our then technology texting company job. And we got a U-Haul, hitched it up to our van, and it fit in there, no problem. And then drove it back to Chicago. Now the trailer, this is how stupid this was. This is how naive we were. The trailer unhitched a little bit
Oh, wait, so it was a hitch that you hitched to your.
to our
Truck.
van, to our
Got it.
truck.
So it did fit in the hitch,
It fit into the hitch, fit into the trailer on the back. Yeah,
but it kind of fell off.
it unhitched at the first stop sign.
It unhitched. Holy shit!
Unhitched, so we had to resecure it, and
It didn't go trailing off.
no, there's a chain that keeps it locked on. So,
Ah.
and we were crawling, we were moving like a turtle, but we took a little bump and it unhitched. So we secured it, all went well, brought it back. So we got the roaster for a very affordable price.
What was the price?
I
To the
think
extent you're willing to share.
just under 10,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still not
4 of us
cheap.
invested in it.
Okay.
And then we began roasting in, so long story short, we brought it back to Chicago and began roasting the coffee out of a Logan Square basement. Hooked it up to a chimney so we didn't suffocate ourselves. And then we started, under, I guess, the cover of darkness, we started selling our coffee to some grocery stores. Some willing independent grocery stores that wanted to give it a shot for us and see, was there anyone interested in buying this coffee?
Right.
And there was enough interest for us to start looking for a physical space.
Oh, nice.
And that's when we gave us, I guess, the confidence to go looking for a physical space. So we did that.
Were you guys selling by that time?
We were selling small bags of coffee, 8-ounce, half-pound bags of coffee to grocery stores. So it was just, a consumer packaged good at that stage, and still pretty much is the core of our business. Then we got a space. We found a space in back of the yards, and we
By the way, who were your biggest customers? Were they more brand name grocery stores, or were they more mom and pop type of grocery
mom and
stores?
pop. I mean, you need to have a lot more. You need to be doing things in a lot more official way to get into big chain grocery stores than we were back then.
Got you.
So we got a place in back of the yards on 51st Street, renovated ourselves, did all the renovation, and basically when it came into plumbing, electric, then we obviously got qualified plumbers and electricians to do that work. And then I was roasting. So at that point, you asked me what was my progression. I was roasting.
You were.
I was roasting. I was self-learning how to roast with my partner and his brother, who became partner as well. And we did that. We kind of changed that role of roasting because we were doing this on top of our job. So we would leave our job at 5 o'clock. We would cycle our bicycle, down. We didn't have a car, so we'd cycle or bicycle down to back of the yards, 51st Street, from kind of West Town area.
What?
So you'd cycle 60 streets,
How many, was it an hour?
40 minutes,
Okay.
40, 45 minutes. And then you'd put in a 3-4 hour shift of roasting because it's a small roaster. We don't have a lot of customers. So, but because it's a small roaster, you got to roast a couple of times. And then we don't want to repeat it too often. So we
Give the
would.
machine a break.
Yeah, we give the machine a break, give ourselves a break, try and roast a little bit ahead of the curve, and then have enough to do you through a week.
Wow.
So we do that, and then eventually we got our coffee shop up and running, and
You guys have a coffee shop?
we do have a coffee shop,
Sputnik
Coffee.
Oh, cool. Where's it at?
It's in the same place, 51st Street and Hoyne.
Cool.
So if you go down to Sputnik, you will see now an upgraded roaster is in the back of the shop, and then we have a little small cafe, but it's mostly a working space for us. So there's always noise going on. Our hours are 6 a.m. until 1 p.m. and then it all becomes production. And that, gets the morning traffic. So most people moving through that area would have come and gone by then
Right.
anyway,
Right.
at least to keep the business viable. So then we moved into, okay, well now we have a shop, so we need to do a new role. The new role becomes you're trying to manage a cafe and operate a cafe. You're roasting coffee is another role.
Are you still working at your regular job?
I was. One of the guys had quit. So at that point there was
One full-time.
Yeah, his name's Volvo. So Volvo had quit the previous job with me. His brother was just finishing up a master's degree. He was practically working full time then. He just, had a master's degree.
Volvac and
He
his
had to
brother.
finish. Volvo.
Volva and his brother.
Volvo. V-O-V-A.
What's his brother's name?
Grisha.
Grisha and Volva.
Yeah.
These are not Irish guys.
These are Russian guys. Yeah.
Russian dudes.
These are Russian dudes. Volvo is the nickname for Vladimir.
Ah.
Yeah.
I can understand why he doesn't want to go by Vlad.
yeah. It's
Not the most
he
popular
sometimes
name.
does. He sometimes confuses
is.
people, and he'll answer the phone and say, "Hey, Vlad," and they're like, "We're looking for Vova." But yeah, I think he's getting better at sticking with
Volva
Vova.
also sounds like the female version of Volvo. Don't ask me why. This is what I'm saying.
Of what?
Volva
Uh-huh.
sounds like the feminine version of Volvo, the car.
The car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't ask me why. That's just what comes in my mind.
It's like that little circle with an arrow. It was just a circle with the cross at the bottom.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Volvos.
Yeah, for some reason,
Riding a Volvo.
riding a Volvo.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, Diarmuid, I make no sense. This is one of those times.
Yeah, it's all right. Same as me.
So this is a cool story. So you guys are all starting to do it. A couple of full-time guys, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And you're learning not only the roasting business, but now you're learning the retail coffee business.
Retail coffee business. We had both worked in coffee shops before, so we were
okay.
more familiar with that side of it.
Yep.
And then you have to do the distribution side of it. So you got your roasted coffee. Now you need to get that to customers.
Mostly grocery stores. Did
Grocery
you do any
stores.
restaurants?
No restaurants. A couple of cafes. Our challenge was with restaurants is that a lot of restaurants don't want their own inventory of machines. It costs a lot of money for them too.
Yeah.
I mean, like an espresso machine and everything else goes with it.
Yeah.
You're up
1,000
over
here, 1,000 there, 1,000 here.
Yeah,
I've gone
10,000
through
for
that
this
all.
if you want to go higher.
I've thought in this restaurant, I need to do something about my coffee situation here. And I've thought, do I invest in coffee makers and things like that? I looked them up. They're not cheap.
They're not cheap. No, I mean you can find good deals if you're willing to go secondhand. But a lot of restaurants, they want that because it's not. I mean, coffee is not your primary business. You're in food.
Yes.
But people do expect coffee, so the restaurants would prefer that we would rent them the equipment.
Yes.
But we're not willing to invest more money into that side of the business.
Yep.
So we just stayed away from it. But then we're basically running three things. We're running delivery, we're running roasting, and we're running a coffee shop or the retail side of it. And eventually then I quit. So 2 months later I quit my job, not Sputnik, but I quit my job and became full-time at Sputnik.
Oh.
And that was when you're freaking out. We talked earlier about you're getting up in the morning, you're wondering, can you handle this? How do you get through the day? We at that point were not generating a lot of revenue, but we needed the man hours if it was ever going to stand a chance.
Yeah, meaning like if you build it, they will come. Have you heard that term
Yes,
before? It's kind of like that.
absolutely.
Like I feel like from the sense of God or the universe, I feel like if I don't take a step towards risk and putting some shit on the line, why would I expect a reward to just fall into my lap? I don't think the world is set up that way. I think if you want to go for something,
Yeah, you reap what you sow.
you reap what you sow. And so you were gonna sow.
We were sowing, yeah. We were definitely trying to sow and trying to, do it smartly. We weren't throwing seeds into a river.
What'd you say?
We weren't throwing seeds into a river.
I've never heard that term before in my life. Have you heard that term? So what does throwing seeds into a river mean? Kind of like blindly.
Well, yeah, it's like it's not smart. They're getting washed away.
Yeah.
They never stand a chance.
Right.
We're trying to do things, with some intelligence.
Right.
Right. So we're trying to plant them into
low on that
fertile
these
soil.
days.
Let's say.
Fertile soil, yeah.
So yeah, we started. Basically, we took that risk. Volvo had already taken a risk. A couple months later, I took the risk with him. His brother, who had just graduated a master's, decided that he'll do it with us too. So 3 of us move in and try and start making this company
2 Russians
successful.
and an Irish guy.
2 Russians and an Irish guy. Yeah. And there is a 4th partner who at that point is arm's length and still is arm's length, who's Russian, Ukrainian. I guess it depends on who he's talking to.
Even more suspicious.
Yeah, absolutely. And hence the name Sputnik, as you can imagine.
So
I got outvoted.
So you voted against Sputnik?
They didn't even go to a vote. I accepted that. Don't fight a fight you're going to lose.
Yeah, the Russians are they got you by the balls.
They do. Absolutely.
Okay, so you quit, and how long did you work full-time coffee guy?
Full-time coffee guy. I worked 14 months.
Okay.
14 months. Now, so that previous spell was a year. So there's a year, then I quit, and 14 months. And during the previous year, that's when we started roasting in the basement, building out a coffee shop ourselves. Then I quit, and then 14 months full-time in the coffee business. It was really, really tough.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
oh man, I'm telling you, brother, in this
tough.
restaurant, I feel like I'm drinking out of a fire hose. And it's not easy. It's just so much water in my face. Is that how you felt?
There was a lot of fear in it for me. I guess, what would I say? We sell a reasonably priced product, and for it to bring in the revenue you need to be selling a lot of quantity.
Yeah.
So it's a really much a volume question. But we're trying to do it in a way that we like. So we're not trying to take investment and just blow up the scale. We're trying to really grow this organically, and use what we think is important to in directing the business. So it's a slower process. And there's just a lot of, it's not as sexy as you might think. I mean, there's a lot of really tough work. Early mornings, getting up at 4:50. For the first while you were getting up at 4:50. You were leaving at 5:10. You open up the coffee shop at 6 o'clock. So you prep the coffee shop, open up at 6 o'clock, close the coffee shop at 6 p.m.
Whew.
And then we would basically clean things down, move home. You'd be home by 7:15, 7:30. And then you got to get up the next morning again at 4:50.
Damn.
And then you're trying to maintain relationships, trying to see friends, trying to maintain a relationship with girlfriend, health is super important to me. So I'm not trying to eat out. I'm trying to get home and cook. And I basically just,
Exercise maybe?
exercise as much as I could.
It's hard, right?
It is. It's super hard.
That's what I'm going through right now, man.
You sit down and you go, okay, I know exercise is important. I know exercise will probably benefit me and what I'm trying to do. But, I want to sleep.
Right.
Yeah. Where do I carve out these extra hours, this extra even 20 minutes?
Right.
When your friends say, hey man, I haven't seen you. Or your girlfriend says, are you even in a relationship with me anymore?
I exist, exactly.
Yes.
Totally.
So you have a lot of competing things for your time, and you start to make choices, and some of those choices hurt you mentally, physically, and probably impact your business too.
That's right.
And what you can bring to the business. So, we then made some tougher calls to try and solve these issues, because these are not sustainable things. I mean, you might be able to grit your teeth and work through that for the rest of your life, but to me, what sort of a life are you living then? It's ridiculous. So you start making decisions. How do we change? How do we improve the situation? So you start punching the punching bag, and then you go, okay, I can't keep punching this punching bag. So how do we change this? And that's when we decided, okay, staying open at 6 p.m. may not be the smartest call.
Right.
We want to be a coffee shop for the community, but we are in a neighborhood where it's staying open really late is not necessarily viable at the moment. So let's just dial back to what's more realistic to the numbers,
Right.
and let's make a factual call that helps us keep the business going long term. Because otherwise, you go balls to the wall and you crash,
Right.
and then not only do you not have a business, but the people you're trying to serve on at 6 p.m. also don't have a business. So there's a lose-lose.
Yep.
So yeah, I kind of forget where I'm going with that, but
Well, I'm trying to figure out how you went super aggressive for 14 straight months,
super aggressive.
and at some point you're like, this is not sustainable. And so you
well,
backed out.
Well, there was a point there where I backed out. So at the same time, in my head, I'm trying to go to myself, I love diet and lifestyle. And I love what I was doing at the previous company. So that's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
It was diet and lifestyle stuff.
Diet, lifestyle is my passion. Has been since.
And you were doing that at the old company where you worked through text messaging.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, all through text messaging. We create curriculum. Curriculum we base 100% off, science. And we try and teach people how to modify behavior to manage diabetes, quit smoking, improve diet, improve exercise routines.
Do you feel like you failed in the coffee venture?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Did I know what I was getting myself into? I certainly didn't either. I didn't necessarily think that I was going to be running a coffee business. I saw an opportunity with the idea, and I wanted to give this idea a shot. And not only did I saw an opportunity idea, I loved the reasons we were doing it. To me, given a really solid product at a very reasonable price is what it's all about. That's kind of how I grew up in Ireland, paying excessive amount of money. Our number one drink would be tea, but paying for an expensive tea would be absurd when you have this really good, affordable tea right beside it. Yeah. And I began to see in Chicago and in America and in Ireland too. I mean, in a lot of the craft coffee industry, it's craft. People are putting a lot of time and effort in trying to make this excellent new kind of coffee or experience. And with that, prices are going up. But to me, it's like, I'm not looking for that. But where's that coffee that I want? It's not there. So
let me make that.
It will let me make that. And Volvo, in fairness to him, was the person who came up with the idea and pitched it to me. Huh. I bought into it hard, and then went for it. And I had never run a business. Well, I had temporarily run a small business in Ireland, but it wouldn't count anything like this. And when I jumped in, this was not expecting what I got.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty wild sled ride.
Yeah, it's
so when you decided to leave, the business continued to operate. It was just you're not going to be a full-time guy anymore.
Absolutely. So that's we began to hire some additional staff. So we made our first hire, second hire, third hire.
Gotcha.
And some of those hires were made because I had expressed interest that I wanted to step away. That the business was off the ground and solid footing. It could definitely manage itself. Not manage itself, but we could maintain what we were doing.
Right. It can also afford an employer too.
And we can start so we now have enough revenue. We're profitable enough where we can afford employees.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So we began hiring people around the neighborhood. And I stepped back and moved into the diet and lifestyle area again.
Makes sense. All right, so that's what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something we were talking about yesterday when I connected with you. But basically, you know, from my perspective, I see a lot of people in the world of business whose business would benefit and their lives would benefit if they focus more on their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Me being one of them. I personally kind of went through a transformation to change my lifestyle, and I did. And I've what's the word? Like I've reverted back a little bit, and I'm not completely off the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm as the pressure's gone up in this business and in the comedy world and with finances, I'm like, oh shit, I'm not exercising as much. I'm not brushing my teeth as much. Something as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sleeping as much. You know, I kind of just start getting loosey goosey all over the place. And so you're saying that in you professionally do this work.
Mm-hmm.
You're now an entrepreneur again, but for the lifestyle business,
right?
Health and wellness, I guess. How would you call it?
Yeah, I say diet and lifestyle, diet, exercise,
Diet
lifestyle,
and lifestyle.
But I guess health and wellness would kind of be the
more
broader version. Yeah,
diet and exercise. Is that what you called it, or diet and lifestyle?
Diet and lifestyle.
Okay, so do you work with people in the business world, or are your clients more on the entertainment world, or what is your target?
My target, basically. So, I mean, you do want to be kind of specific when you're trying to target or mark yourself towards people, towards an audience. I have clients from all over. So in mostly business, some entrepreneurs, some people high mid-management, mid-level management, a lot of people in professions. But then I have some other clients who, you know, work in just your average job and are trying to improve their health. Male, female, I work with both. And then I guess if you're thinking of an age demographic, I would say naturally it's probably 27, 28 and older. And probably for my own personal interest, keeping it below 50. So it's pretty broad.
Old people are boring, right?
Not that they're boring, but I come from a real sporting background and I like to see human body perform really cool things.
Gotcha. The older you get, the less you can do.
Yeah, and not that they can do some pretty cool things too.
Yeah, it depends on the person.
Yeah, and I think you might, if you really put yourself in their shoes, what they're doing for their age is probably super impressive.
I got to tell you a great story. I was in Spain for a retreat once, like a spiritual retreat. And there was this dude in his 20s who was trying to show off. And he started doing some push-ups with I think his like feet were up on the wall behind him. And so he's kind of doing upside down push-ups, you know, trying to show off his tries and his chest and all that other stuff. And again, he's in his 20s. And everyone's like around him like, whoa, whoa. Then one of our spiritual teachers, beautiful Muslim man named Hakeem. He's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Watch this. This man was 75 years old. Did the same exact thing Majdi, this other guy did, but without a wall behind him. So he had no support.
Oh, yeah.
And we were all just like, oh. And I grabbed him afterwards. I'm like, dude, what? He's like, I do cross training. I cross train CrossFit. I do CrossFit all the time. It's like every day. When I'm back in the States, I do CrossFit. I'm like, what? 75? I'm like, I hope to God I'm like that at 75.
Are you like that right now?
No, I can't do any upside down push-ups, man. Nah.
Are you trying to?
I mean, I've done one yes. Every now and then I try to. I can do like one.
Yeah.
But it's nothing I practice.
Gotcha.
But more importantly, I do exercise regularly, and I hope, and my goal is to keep that my whole life. But like I said, sometimes as pressure goes up, it's tricky to do that. So let me see. Is there someone in the world who you believe is like a diet and lifestyle guru that you look up to, that you take your inspiration from? Maybe it's even like a client, or maybe it's like a celebrity who you believe carries out like the best diet and lifestyle practice, and you're like, all my clients should be like this guy or girl?
That's a tough question. And I guess I don't.
There's
But-
no Tony Robbins of, that field?
Of the general, like, so I mean, this sounds kind of the people. Yeah, I've got a couple that I really respect in this field, and it's how they manage their lifestyle. It's not necessarily their diet, or exercise, but in general, just when you say that I feel calm or I seem calm.
I was like, what is calm? It's calm. Okay.
Calm, yeah.
No, you're saying it correct for your language. I was just
Right.
like, what? Yeah, so I do see you as that. Yes, I see you as very calm.
Then I have my own coach, and I hired him when I was with Sputnik Coffee when shit had hit the wall. And
You're like, I need a better lifestyle. Let me hire this guy.
Yeah, so it's funny. I reached and I'm always pulling parts of stories out of everywhere. So forgive me if I'm confusing you. At the technology texting company, we have a behavioral scientist, psychologist. She is involved in all our curriculum and our program development. And I began to reach out to her and ask her for, does she offer personal services? She says she doesn't, but she recommends me to her friend. And I take to speak to her friend. Her friend then becomes, I love what he's preaching to me. And what I love about it is, I come from a hurling background, and it's always about getting better. How do you play better in the next game? How do you practice to win the next game? So I have that very competitive mindset. And he offered to me a way for me to get better personally, to manage business, life, relationships. He seemed like he could help me do better. So I hired him. And since then, we've been working together for over 2 years now. And he's definitely one person that I look up to and admire, because he seems so calm. He's got it all figured out. I don't know if he's it all figured out. If he heard this, he would say he doesn't have it all figured out. But he,
relatively speaking, he's got things more figured out than the average person, probably.
oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
Right.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And he's one person I definitely look up to. But when it comes to athletes, so the Olympics is coming up, and I wouldn't say diet and lifestyle, but the way he handles pressure and the way he portrayed himself in the, I guess, in media, was Usain Bolt out of Jamaica. He's a person who seemed to have a relatively normal life considering what he does. I mean, in the biggest events, year after year, he stood up and he killed the 100-meter sprint every single time. He's won races where he stumbled in the first 10 meters and then come back to win a race. And before he crossed the finish line, relaxes and smiles and gives a cheeky little grin at the camera or up to the crowd. Now, I'm not quite sure of his diet. I mean, his diet is A1 when it needs to be. You've heard stories that he also indulges in, McDonald's, which to me, as a diet and lifestyle coach, is actually, I don't think it's a bad thing because he's normal. And I don't think we need to be seeing these abnormal, perfect kind of portrayals of people that we do see sometimes now in social media.
Right.
He's this normal guy, but he is performing at the best level. He's the fastest man in the world ever, for now. And I think he's definitely an idol of mine who I could read about, watch over and over and over again. And then obviously then in a different way, you have a famous soccer player, Cristiano Ronaldo, used to play with the team I loved growing up, Manchester United. Now I think he's with Juventus out of Italy.
I think so.
Um,
He was with Barcelona for a while, right?
He was with Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, thank you.
Yeah.
And then he went from Real Madrid, I think, to Italy.
That's right. And now he's got a different type of mindset. At least so it would seem from the outside. He's super duper focused, no messing, no relaxing. So he's the kind of a little different than Usain Bolt. But I respect his, I guess, discipline. So I guess there's some things you see in people that they're all trying to perform at the best, and they're doing it. There are ways in which, or there are values from them that they hold that they are using to perform better and better and better and keep that going year after year after year or through a decade or more. They're different, but I think they're all very admirable, and there's something to be taken out of them too.
That resonates.
Yeah.
I see those guys, especially the runners. Usain Bolt. That really hits home because I've also studied some of these runners, and I'm like, wow, that fuels me for, weeks of exercise. It's like I have them in my mind and my heart,
Yeah, and especially for, I guess track and field athletes, they're all amateur. I mean, they're getting very minimal payment from anyone. I think this is definitely not an accurate figure, but just kind of to give you an idea, I think the winner of the US Nationals sprint from the US Olympic Committee might get something like $20,000. It's very little. So all money's made from basically endorsements.
Wow.
So unless you are the top one or two in a event that people actually have interest in, if you're a walker, unfortunately, you're not going to get the same endorsement deal as someone who's a sprinter or someone who's a Michael Phelps.
Right.
So I think it's impressive. And I actually saw Usain Bolt in Rio, to the Rio Olympics 4 years ago, and it was incredible. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So this mentor of yours, or your own lifestyle coach, you're saying this guy's even calmer than you?
So here's it. I guess from my personal coaching style, everything is focused off science. So we're going to talk about what's been proven to work, what's been not proven to work, as it's been studied. So he's the same. So he's a psychologist and behavioral scientist. And when he's beginning to make suggestions to me of things I would benefit from incorporating into my life, he begins to talk about meditation. And he knows I'm from Ireland. I think he has an Irish-American wife. So he's like, I know you guys don't like this kind of talk, but I want you to give meditation a shot. And then something very simple. He goes, you do a lot of weightlifting. Now I want you to switch that into more aerobic activity. And I mean, that to me makes sense, but I didn't think about it for business. And the reason he wanted me to do that in business per se was because I was then working in a high stress Sputnik Coffee company, I would say very high stress. And these are two ways to help me build up my resilience to stress. You can, when you go running or walking or cycling or any aerobic style exercise, swimming, you may, if you ever got there, find it easier to get into this kind of zone or flow than you do if you're in a weightlifting room and you're trying to squat, whatever you're trying to squat or bench press.
The runner's high is real.
The runner's, it's
distinct
100%
from
real.
anything you get in weightlifting.
Yeah. I mean, weightlifting is a series of, let's say, 3 to 15 reps or 60 seconds, and then you pause.
Right.
And then you have someone walking beside you who's asking you if they can borrow whatever you're doing. So you get disrupted. Yeah.
Totally. So he actually tailored your diet and exercise based upon what you were doing and where you were working in the business you were in?
He didn't tailor. He just gave suggestions about you need to incorporate more of this if you're to get this benefit. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. So basically, he's like, how do we get you not to burn out?
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. I mean, he saw what I didn't see. I saw it, but I didn't know how to
deal with it.
What to do to prevent it.
Correct. Yeah, that's something I wrestle with.
Yeah. So he's like, first off, this is what you need to do to just manage your day to day so you can get through this. Because your company needs you working right now. And to say, I'm going to stop working, and I'm going to stop working, 80-hour weeks and start working 40-hour weeks, well, your company's going to fail.
Right.
So right now you need to get through this tough period, but how do you do it and not burn out? So his suggestions were start eating right, And I have a degree in nutrition, so I knew what to do there. And it's just why I was trying to really focus on keeping homemade meals in the evening when I came home every night at 6 o'clock or 7:30. But start incorporating exercise. So if there was a week went by and I'd reach out to him like, hey, I'm Josh, I'm stressed. His first question would be, when's the last time you exercised? And I'd be like, yeah, I haven't exercised, haven't ran in 3, 4, 5 days. How much sleep are you getting? I'm getting 5 to 6 hours. Well, Diarmuid, what do you expect to be happening for yourself right now?
Right. Choices you're making.
Yeah. And in my mind, it's like, I'm trying to build a business here. That's more important. But reality, unless you get your sleep, unless you get your exercise, unless you eat well, and have some way of managing stress, whether it's prayer, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's journaling. I mean, there are several different ways you can improve your resilience to stress. But if you don't start doing these things, I mean, shit's going to hit the fan.
So eating well, exercising, stress management like journaling or meditation.
Yeah, for me, the two I focus on were journaling and meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the fourth big one is sleep. Those are the four bigs. It's like stress management, the various ways of that, and then eating well, sleeping well, and exercising.
Yeah.
And it does feel like, I'm not gonna lie, Diarmuid, it does feel like doing those four things is a full-time job. And so you won't have time for Sputnik. But the truth is what? Tell us, diet and lifestyle expert.
Well, the truth is, I guess, well, now diet and lifestyle expert. The truth is, what do you want? I mean, do you want how do you want your life to be, I guess, in one way? Do you want work to be life, or do you want work to be a component of your life? And, you know, the way I see life, you have work, you have health and fitness, you have finance, career, some people, family, spirituality, love and relationships.
That's my life, man. Is in the last few years, it's really exploded. Meaning I've got 2 kids under 3 years old. I'm married in the last 5 years, 5.5 years. Wonderful, beautiful woman. Precious, and I cherish her. She works so damn hard to keep our evening homemade meals going. And exercise. She inspires me, I inspire her. This business, all the entertainment stuff I'm doing, this plus comedy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. And spirituality and just visiting my community and my extended family. I like to see my mom and my siblings and my nieces and nephews. I got a whole lot of them. It's so much. And then I'm supposed to meditate, eat well, sleep, and exercise? Like that, we're up to like 9.
Right.
I'm counting them out here, guys, if you're listening. So it's like, you know, so what would you tell a guy like me? Cut some stuff out, simply?
Well, you know, first off, you're not going to magically build these all in overnight. So you got to face reality and go, this is your life, right? These are all the things that are involved in it.
Right.
Then we know that diet, exercise, stress, and sleep are really important for you, mentally, physically, for your business, kind of secondary, for everything, for everything in your life. They help.
In my relationships,
absolutely. But how much of those are realistic? So
how much of what?
How much more sleep is realistic? You know, if you're getting 5 hours sleep, and in the ideal world, science will say that, you know, minimum 7, moving up towards 9 might be better for adults. But you know, where are you going to get, if let's say 9's a number, where are you going to steal 4 hours from to get 9 tomorrow? And you're not. I mean, if you did do that, now all of a sudden everything else have to adjust because you've got 4 less hours to make everything else happen.
There you go.
So moving up to 9 is probably pretty unrealistic right now. So how do we move that to 5.5, 6?
I see. So you're saying take some small steps.
You have to. You have to. I guess the same way you may look at a business, but you have, okay, so what's the outcome you want? And the outcome may be, well, I want these lifestyle behaviors that support what I'm trying to do. Because some people love them and they find time for them. I'm one of those people. I love it and I work hard to find time for it.
Right.
But some people don't love them, but realize that they are important, or at least know that they have heard that they're important. But how do we make those changes gradually? So how do we build sleep up towards 9? And you may never get to 9. 9 might be an unrealistic number for you. But how do we get from 5 to 5.5?
Yeah. Even just the conscious awareness of trying is a huge win in my mind. Because a lot of people aren't even thinking about it. They're just like, I can only sleep 5 hours. I can't even consider 5.5.
Yeah.
But a lifestyle expert will tell you the benefits of it and remind you of it and help you set a goal.
Well, you got to motivate them. You got to motivate them. They have to, you got to help them find their own internal motivation to why 5.5 is necessary for them. I mean, why they actually want to do it, how it's going to benefit their business, and they have to see this for themselves, because I'm not going to be able to manipulate you to do something. But I can try and help you find reasons, find needs that might make this important for you to attempt.
Right.
Then if there is something that, 5.5 is not possible, if it's not possible, it's not possible. So what is possible?
Right.
And maybe we get them to take some action where it becomes 5 hours and 15 minutes. And we start building that and see, okay, so, where you're stuck at 5 hours, we've now kind of myth busted that, so to speak. And now you can do 5:15. And this may be a slow progress, but at least it's a progress.
Right.
And then over the course of, a month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is for that individual person, you might get to 5.5, might get to 6.
Right.
And the difference between 5.5 and 6 hours is big in sleep.
Yeah.
If it's exercise, if it's literally starting out with 10 minutes, a couple of days a week, or even 1 day a week, depending on where you are, it's a big deal. And we begin to teach you skills about how you can do that. So when I work with someone, it's really about what is the outcome they want, and what's been proven to help them get there. So if you want to manage your stress better, what's been proven? And if you're thinking about meditation's been studied and shown to work. And then the dose of it, like I said earlier, is 20 minutes has been shown to be a number to strive towards. But 20 minutes might not be doable right now. But let's start building that behavior into your life.
1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And we set goals. We set very realistic, doable goals for you. And then we begin to monitor your progress. And then we start adding in other skills. So how do you get support in your life?
Oh, we call them skills. So funny. It's
Yeah.
just, it's life. It's life things like sleep and eating. We're calling them skills.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, I wouldn't say the eating is the skill. The way you learn to build that behavior into your life, you use skills to do that.
Okay.
So goal setting will be a skill.
Sure. But I do feel like there's an education that happens as you learn to eat better. And at some level, it kind of, maybe skill is not the best word, but you learn to eat optimally.
Yeah, I mean, as you get better, that becomes your new norm, right? And then if you get more interested in it, you may or may not, but you potentially could start improving,
right?
And getting better. And you definitely, I mean, we're a learning species. What you're really doing is you're teaching your brain what to do here, how to build this pattern or routine into your day to day or into your week to week, and that's kind of what we're trying to do. Behaviorally.
Okay, so let's say someone like me or someone out there in the world who's under a lot of pressure and stress does work with a lifestyle expert like you or like Josh, right?
Mm-hmm.
What some of your clients where you had the best stories, like where even it knocked your socks off? What are some of the benefits you've seen of their in their life?
One man in particular, and this has been nice because we've been working together for a long time. We've been working together for over a year. And I've seen him go through 2 Christmas periods, 2 holiday seasons. And the first time, I mean, he wants to lose weight. That's his primary motivation for reaching out to me, was to try and lose weight. And he's a foreigner, just moved here from Japan, of all places, and lives in Oak Park, bought a new house, working within the same company, but transferred here to Chicago, higher level. So he's got more stress from a higher, more responsible job.
Right.
He's got a new home, so he's a mortgage to look after. His wife is obviously moved over with him as well. She happens to be from this area, which is why they kind of moved to Chicago, and they have a very young kid. So literally he's talking to me, he's like, my my life has dramatically changed. I mean, I woke up and where am I?
Right.
And his weight's shot up. So that's what sparked him to reach out. Now, the first time he went through Christmas, we're literally trying to build these behaviors into him. So we're trying to build in, basically for him, I just focused on breathing. So it wasn't even going to
breathing?
Breathing. Just to try and elicit a relaxation response in his body. So not going to, he's a British guy, lived in Japan and moved here. Not going to go too deep into meditation. Well, let's focus on breathing. Something you can do while we're all chatting here and, stop yourself from freaking out. Let's do some exercise. Let's do nutrition and let's, improve sleep. Now you've got a kid and you have a house, you've got to commute every morning. And the first Christmas, he found it really tough. And one of the most annoying parts about it, I imagine, from his standpoint, is he wants to lose weight. His weight's not going down. Now, part of the reason his weight's not going down is because he's finding it really hard to fit all these changes into his life. Because eating better doesn't necessarily help you lose weight. You gotta, you gotta change things a lot, possibly. But like if I start adding an apple a day, and that's probably a little simple. That's maybe too simple for what we really focus on. But if I start walking 5-10 minutes a day, it's not going to help you lose weight overnight. But to watch him kind of accept that this is a longer term change, and he had some successes over the first Christmas period, and he's stuck with it. He does a lot of travel to New York. So he's got, on the top of all this, he's got travel to take into consideration. He would go through good periods of being at home where he seems to be exercising regularly, maybe, gone from no exercise up to 3 hours a week. His diet has gone from being very random and kind of chance to, let's say he's eating a healthy meal. And to give you a definition of a healthy meal, it might be just, without taking into size portions, but vegetables, whole grains, a lean protein, and some healthy fats. I like the Mediterranean diet here.
Sure. Good plug for Cedars. Thank you. Thank you.
There you go.
Boom.
Always looking out for everyone else.
1206 East 53rd Street. We are waiting for y'all to walk through the doors.
The stare came back.
The older stare.
It never leaves.
But it never leaves. I can feel it right now.
You're not even looking at it.
Okay. So he had some.
He stuck with your even small goals, and he stuck with it for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
I presume the second Christmas. How was the experience second Christmas?
It was dramatically better. And what was better for him, and he's lost weight, so he hasn't lost. He's still on his weight loss journey, but he's much more confident in his ability to get there, and stick there. So every single time we'd have a conversation, and he'd be struggling with something, then we start. I mean, he feels like I'm not doing exercise. I'm not running. I'm not lifting weights. And I always came back to, all right, when's the last time you set a goal around exercise? And he'd realize that he's not practiced. So this is goal setting. And then goal setting is not the miracle cure. Goal setting is only part of a skill set.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you set a goal? Because it's kind of a nice one to begin with. Are you actually tracking how much exercise you're doing, which is another skill that I teach people.
Right. Keeping track of time. Right.
Keeping track of what's going on. You're not keeping track of your gas tank. You might, end up on the side of the road in Iowa. So, how are the people in your life helping you? I mean, are you actively talking to people and trying to get them to help you? Because we do have this individualistic mindset that I'm going to do this myself. They may not think they may not believe that they don't need help, but they may not want to ask for the help. Or they may get frustrated that the help isn't just automatically coming.
We had to do it on the last podcast, say isolation is decimation. So if you're not asking for help and you're isolating yourself, you're kind of decimating yourself.
Yeah. And I would definitely, when it comes to trying to change your habits and your behaviors, you do need help. I mean, let's say, for instance, you're trying to improve your diet and you walk into your house and your partner brings home a box of Dunkin' Donuts.
Ouch.
And instead of you sitting there and asking and talking and trying to express the type of help you need, you go down and you start punching the punching bag and go, God damn it, when is this,
so way to refer to her.
I said partner. Could be he or her.
True.
I work with both people.
But still a punching bag.
Calling her a punching bag?
Yeah.
You punching bag. Yeah. That's terrible.
That's cool, man. This is powerful. I'm picturing a lot of like business executives out there in the world we look at probably have a diet and lifestyle expert that they're working with in order to help them continue to maintain what they're trying to, the goals they're trying to reach, both in their personal life but also in their business world. Okay. I want to move towards wrapping it up. So, have you set up websites and ways for people to contact you?
Yeah. You can basically go on to, my company's called Lifelong Lifestyles.
Lifelong Lifestyles.
Yep. The URL is www.lifelonglifestyles.com.
Yep.
And you'll find information on how to contact me right there.
Beautiful.
On Instagram, I'm Lifelong Lifestyles.
All right, cool. I'm gonna check that out. Lifelong Lifestyles.
Lifelong Lifestyles. That definitely started out more as a personal health and fitness, and then I transitioned it when I kicked off the business into, okay, this is a business profile, so let's try and make it a little more business profile.
Smart.
And that's still under transition, but we're getting there bit by bit. There's no need to stress out over it.
Good.
But yeah, so that's how you can find me.
LifelongLifestyles.com, baby.
LifelongLifestyles.com.
Diarmuid Horan? Yeah, not Moran.
Not Moran.
Gotcha. The Hurler.
Yes.
My Irish friend.
Former hurler.
Thank you, brother. It's been great to have you on.
You are very welcome.
The calmest guy we've ever had and the kindest guy we've ever had.
Oh.
we had
the sweetest eyes that's ever.
That's right.
Sat
The
at the
sweetest
table.
eyes. Yeah,
I'll
definitely.
give you a goodbye note. So my name, its meaning is without enemy.
Diarmuid, without enemy.
Yeah.
Wow. I hope you live your name, brother.
Yeah.
Although it's hard in this world.
It is hard. Yeah. Keep your
That's
mind
cool.
from being your enemy.
Thank you, brother. Great
You're
to have
welcome.
you on. JD,
Always a pleasure.
always a pleasure. Another one bites the dust.
Yep.
Don't know why I said that. Peace.